Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Ladies and gentlemen, Conor Benn, where's he gone? Last fought in February of this year against Peter Dobson. Won a unanimous 12-round decision, a wide decision on the cards. Prior to that, last year, he made his comeback against Rodolfo Orozco, won a 10-round decision over him. But, when you consider the sort of undying support that Eddie Hearn was giving Ben during that whole sort of appallingly handled farce of a failed PED test, it's all gone very sort of radio silence, hasn't it? I mean, Ben, once upon a time, was, the great future welterweight star. But you would think he'd have some sort of, a fight somewhere in the world, even though he still hasn't got his British license. You'd think he'd have something that Hearn and Matchroom would have put something in place for a next fight just to keep him busy. And of course, the Eubank, what I always suspected might be a cash-in, big money spinner, of course, that went by the wayside. So it almost seems like Matchroom don't know what to do with him. Now, this, of course, coincides with the signing of Boots Ennis, who was given a big homecoming, and Hearn was, waxing lyrical about Boots and how he'd always wanted to sign him, and he was going to, turn him into a superstar that transcends the sport. This must have put Conor Benn's nose out of joint, especially when you consider what went before with the whole PED thing, and the fact that his reputation is pretty much, in a lot of people's eyes anyway, in tatters. Okay. Now, today it was announced that he is actually going to be ranked by the IBF. I don't know what position he's going to be put into the rankings, but this now means that he is ranked in the top 10 of all four of the major bodies, because he is number 2 with the WBC. Mario Barrios is there. What is it, interim champ or something? Has he been made up to the full champ? Yeah, I don't know what the fuck they do with these things. Then you've got Terence Crawford, who's still got hold of the WBA belt, or has he vacated that? Did he vacate that today or yesterday? Anyway, Ben is number 3 with the WBA, so that's number 2 with the WBC, number 3 with the WBA. He's going to be in the top 10 with the IBF, and he is also number 7 with the WBO. And even if you look at BoxRec's rankings, he's number 3. I don't know where he is with the Ring magazines. Rankings, I don't know about that. Anyway, the point I'm making is that this is a very highly ranked contender, world contender, rightly or wrongly. You can argue that he doesn't deserve to be anywhere near the top of the tree in anybody's rankings, but that's not the point. The point is he's highly ranked, and you would think that Hearn and Matchroom would be falling over themselves to try and get him highly marketable, high-profile fights somewhere in the world, even if they can't resolve this long-running, 2 years plus now, issue with the whole British Boxing Board of Control. But no, they're not. There's radio silence. Hasn't fought for 6 months, I repeat. Nothing scheduled. Nothing scheduled at all. No, he's not been on... I don't do much social media at all, but I haven't read much about him. He just seems to have disappeared, or he's laying low. Now, they could be working behind the scenes to get him that British Boxing Board of Control license back. I don't know. But clearly, as soon as the board won their appeal against Ben being reinstated, you remember earlier this year that happened, it's almost like Hearn sort of said, I give up. Well, Matchroom, Hearn, stroke Frank Smith, stroke Matchroom said, no more. And at the very least, you would think, okay, we've got Boots, we've got Conor Benn. Boots holds one of the belts, doesn't he? He holds the IBF belt. Now that Conor's got an IBF ranking, why not put him in with Boots? Why not have a big in-house showdown? If Ben was smashed to bits by Ennis, as I think he probably would be that be an absolute tragedy? Not really, because his name's mud at the moment, and it would only be the first loss of his career. And people will say, well, all right, yeah, Ennis beat him up. We all expected that to happen. He knocked him out. So what? And then maybe the pressure would be off Ben in a weird sort of way. Because sometimes when you do suffer a loss, suddenly that pressure's lifted. And a lot of people who didn't previously want to fight you was like, yeah, I've seen what he's done to him. I can do that too. And who knows? Maybe getting Ben an IBF ranking is the plan, to eventually put him in with Ennis. I don't know. Could be. Stranger things have happened. But it does seem rather sad, actually, when all is said and done, that somebody who Matchroom signed when he was just a raw teenage kid, I think he was about 19, was he, when he turned pro, 18, 19? And who didn't have much of so certainly not an extensive amateur career, and was lauded as being, a lot of money invested, a future star and so on, the continuation of the Ben name and all this. It does seem rather sad that it all just seems to have collapsed. And I don't just mean the failed PED test, which was terrible enough, and the way it was handled was just so cringe-inducingly bad. It's horrible. Yeah, but maybe Hearn and Frank Smith and everyone at Matchroom just thinks this kid's more trouble than he's worth. We supported him, we stood by him, we've done this. And it would be interesting to see how much of how badly that whole PED thing was handled was down to Ben and how much was down to Matchroom. Because Hearn is normally pretty good at spinning things, but of course he couldn't spin that because, they had too much against him. He thought he could at first. And there was that self-entitled attitude from Ben as well. And Hearn was saying, I believe him. I believe the lad. I believe, he's telling the truth and I'm standing by him. And okay. Well, you got in 2 fights without a British licence abroad. But again, I repeat, 6 months down the road from his last fight, nothing scheduled. But, like I said earlier, maybe they're working behind the scenes. You just don't know. What do you think? What do you think's happening? Do you care about Ben anymore? Maybe you don't care. Would a Boots Ennis fight be a cash out? What about putting Ben in with Barrios for a WBC belt? Amantis Stanionis, because Crawford has vacated the WBA belt, I think Stanionis is now the champ. So maybe they'll sort something out with him there. Again, it would have to be abroad. So, yeah, let me know what you think. As usual, comments below and I'll have a read and answer some of them. And subscribe to the channel if you're new. Please do that. Hit the like button. Spread the word about Joe's Son of Boxing. I always enjoyed making these videos. I hope you enjoy watching them. And I will speak to you soon. Bye for now.